All right. Lisa, welcome. Hi.
Lisa?
Hi. Hi, everybody. This is Annalisa Durr with Journey to the Goddess TV, regenerating ancient feminine wisdom for modern women. Today, I am with the fabulous, the wonderful Lisa Levart. She is the Goddess on Earth photographer. She has a book of the same name, and she recently debuted her Goddess on Earth Oracle deck. And so I'm very, very excited to have her here to talk about that. Her work has been shown all over the world, internationally, in Tokyo, in Latvia, in New York, of course. She has a permanent collection in the 9/11 Museum. And I've had the great honor of working with Lisa. And also, she's been traveling the world, traveling the country, photographing women as goddesses for about the last 20 years. And so we'll get into that in more detail in this conversation today, too. So welcome, everybody. And hello, Lisa. Again, hello. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's great. It's always great to have conversation with
you. We have fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep it kind of short today. And by short, I mean about 30-ish minutes rather than my extended hour-long videos. So we're going to dive right in. And I also want to say that you'll want to stay tuned because I have a little surprise for everybody. We're going to reveal the deck live today, on live. So that'll be up shortly. So Lisa, I'd like to ask you kind of a very foundational question to start off our conversation. And that is, what is a goddess, or what does goddess mean to you?
Goddess is the divine, the face of the feminine, the divine feminine in women, in stories, in sacred myths, in legends. It's the divine in all of us. Yeah. And it's the feminine face of it.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That's a short answer.
I think that's the perfect answer, because otherwise we could write whole books on it as
yeah, which you are probably doing right now.
Right. In my own way, yes. So let's talk about the Oracle deck a little bit. What inspired you to create this deck?
Well, the last published project was a book, a coffee table book, Goddess on Earth. And this time I really wanted something more interactive with people, something people could use. So it wasn't just like, not just because I'm so proud of the coffee table book, but I wanted it to be in your hands, and how could you interact with it? I've been the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of multimedia installations. So people are in the environment, and I wanted to, how can I push that further? Like, so that people use the images, use the portraits as a point of inspiration, as a point of self-reflection, and that it wouldn't just sit there. I want it active, to have energy. So that's where this idea came from. Tarot and oracle decks are not often real people, real photographic images. My images are not straight photographs. I do a lot of creative work in Photoshop, so and on the computer, but you don't often see it that way. So I knew it's a challenge, and curious to see how it resonates.
Right. And one of the things I really love about the Oracle deck you created, and this is, again, only one of the things that I love, is how you created a space for each of the women that you photograph to have their voice heard.
Well, thank you for that, because that's important to me. My own process with the portraits is collaborative. So the women's voices, how they want to be seen, who they want to portray, where they want to be photographed, how they want to be photographed is very collaborative and really comes from the women. And so through that process, I've learned so much, and I really felt like that I wanted the women's voices to be heard, because I learned so much from you. You're one of the subjects, so yeah, so happy about that. And well, you did more than that in the book, but the women's voices meant a lot to me, who each woman is, the wisdom I learned from each woman. And this was another way to get their wisdom out into the world.
Right. And I think that that's like one of the main tenets. I wish I had a better word coming to my mind, but we'll use that word, tenets of the goddess, of the divine feminine, is that it is so relational, it's so reciprocal, it's co-creative, you know, rather than like the very hyper masculinized hero and the hero's journey. You know, I'm onward and outward on a quest. It's like,
and hierarchical, you know, like there's the top down. This is more community, and I felt that that's what this is. This is a community of women sharing their wisdom with a larger community.
right. And even though I don't think any of the other women that you photographed, there's like this thread that connects us all through you and your portraiture and this process that we've all shared together. So I was also wondering if you could specifically speak to, before we get into opening the Oracle deck, like what is an Oracle deck? Like what does that mean versus a tarot deck, for example?
Right. It's very similar, but tarot is very specific, 78 cards. Each card has a specific meaning that was pre-established. And an oracle, but you use it the same way. It's a way of getting in touch with your intuition, heightening your intuition, listening to your intuition, and then seeing what that stirs up for you in terms of self-knowledge. What can you, glean from it instead of shutting down? I think it's a tool. It's a tool for self-knowledge, and which a tarot is too. But oracle's kind of anything goes.
Yeah, I love that. It is a little bit more permeable that way, a little more open-ended. And a quick example, yesterday you had sent me a story on Instagram by someone who was, had used your Oracle deck live. Her name is Kate of Soul Journey, I think. And she happened to pick the Mary Magdalene card among, that and a few others. And I was so blown away. She didn't even know it was the Mary Magdalene card at first. She was like, oh, red, but something in the imagery that we created together resonated for her. And I was like, oh my goodness, we did it.
Yeah, right. But it's so exciting. I mean, the Oracle deck's only been out in the world now about 2 weeks, tomorrow, 2 weeks. And to see, starting to see online how people are interacting with it, how the images speak, just like you were talking about. It's just fantastic. It's so exciting, and it's really making my heart sing.
I know. I want everybody that's watching to go on Lisa's website right now and purchase a deck, goddessonearth.com. Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Should we do the reveal?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dive in. Yeah.
I know. I got this package, I think, on Tuesday, and I've been like waiting with.
I don't know how you waited. I really don't.
I know. Just for the reveal on camera live. Okay. So maybe while I'm doing this part, you can tell us about.
Well, let me share what your involvement in the deck too, because not just the portrait, Mary Magdalene, of course, but you were my goddess consultant, and I'm so grateful to that because coming from an academic background like you do, I wanted to make sure all the stories, the book. There's a very rich book that goes with the Oracle deck, so it's not just cards; it's a book. And in the book, each goddess has 3 sections. There's a perspective of each woman. There's an action, and there's also an attribute. So you can really deep dive into the knowing more of the goddess, and you really helped me with that. Make sure I really want to make sure I was right. These are complex, deep stories.
They are, but by the grace of the goddess, she was there helping you along all the way. I mean, the way that you organized it and the different elements, You know, like even when we were discussing where Mary Magdalene should go, I was like, well, you know, she could go here, she could go here, she could go here. And you were like, I put her in air, and I was like, yes, of course. That's so, or spirit, excuse me, spirit.
Not in air, not in air. She's in spirit. She's a vessel. She's like a vessel by your feet.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, spirit, sorry.
But that's okay, yeah.
Yes, and I was like, yes, of course. Like that's, of course, where she would go. You know, because at one point I was like fire for passion, or, you know, earth for that, you know, bringing in that embodiment piece. But spirit really feels like it encompasses all of it.
So while you're struggling with the packaging, because I really wanted it to arrive safely, I'll just share that the deck, I came up with a structure which is of the elements: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, so that it was really a jigsaw to put all the portraits. Okay, go into there. You're unveiling. There you go. You've got the packaging off.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Oh my God. And you had somebody helping you with the
Yes, Paula Kelly is a wonderful graphic designer. She was the art director, and we worked very closely together. She guiding the creation. The book is all her. It's incredible. Incredibly designed book. She's a wonderful graphic designer in New York.
This is so beautiful. I mean, it's just like, just to have been on this process with you and to see this baby come into fruition.
How do you like the way it feels?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's so soft and sensual. I love the weight of it too. I love the colors. I love the purple and the deep dark hues. It's like, I'm so proud of you and all the work that you know, years and years of work, and these women's lives and their stories and their embodiments. I mean, here's the first one when you open it, right?
Yep.
And this woman created that mask. She made that mask herself, right?
Actually, she didn't. That was a ritual mask.
Okay.
From Goddess Spirit Rising.
Okay. Got to give shout outs here to everybody that we
gotta always give shout outs. Always give shout outs. Of course, Laura just made it, and it's part of the rituals that we would do. You were there.
Yes.
Goddess Spirit Rising. That's where we made your portrait too.
Yes, in the Simi Valley there.
Yeah.
Okay, which number am I looking for?
For you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you're in the spirit section, so the spirit section is last.
Okay.
Okay, and you can look at your card, and your card is number 38, all the way at the end.
I just found it. I'm actually really speechless. I think I've said before in an interview with you, and I said bits and pieces, you know, along the way, but this moment really changed my life as an artist, as a woman, as a, you know, my spiritual practice, because there was something about the complete embodiment of all the pieces of me, and connecting with her and allowing her to change me, and allowing myself to honor myself through honoring her and embodying her. And like I said in the last conversation we had, being seen by you, allowing you to see me in such a vulnerable space, and, you know, touching my menstrual fluids, like that co-creative process of where did these go on my body as her body. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just really speechless, actually. I just feel really grateful. Thank you. So,
And I'm grateful to you because you shared that essence, that vulnerable place with me, which each woman did. I mean, it is a very vulnerable process to share, let someone see you, and let them see you as your divine self. Yeah. It's very deeply personal, and the trust that is there is so profound. I'm so grateful to you and each woman, because that is a deep trust that I don't take for granted either.
Yeah. And I think that comes through in the portraits as well, that deep vulnerability and trust and that communion of sisterhood.
Yeah.
And all of these different visions of women. I mean, look at this fearless choice, power. Look at that, just standing in her, radiance and power. I mean, we women know who we are inside of us, but the culture has not celebrated all of these different images of womanhood, of femininity, of femaleness. And I purposely kind of placed all of those words in their own spot because they all have different meanings. So I was hoping maybe I could pull a card.
Yeah.
You could talk about it, like
yeah.
Either intuit some wisdom and or tell us about the goddess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get the card for our highest and greatest good. Okay, stand in your power.
Oh.
Okay, tell us about her.
Okay, well, first of all, I would say that you can see around the edges of the card is the color red. And red is fire. We were talking about that earlier with Mary Magdalene. That's passion. It's a passion, it's action, it's the motivation. So that right away tells you something, the element. That card, Standing in Your Power, is a portrait of jazz singer Lisa Sokolow. And we made that right here in Nyack, actually, where I live, in the Hudson Valley, after Hurricane Sandy, when she's standing amongst the wreckage of what was brought from the Hudson River. Right behind her was washed ashore. It's actually, I think she's right in front of or on top of a swimming pool that was filled with debris. So this goddess that she was embodying was a Caribbean hurricane goddess. So about the swirling energy around you, but it's about standing in your power, even while things are swirling about, even if you are creating that swirl. Right. To embody that and stand in that, and that's your passion.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I feel like that's kind of like the energy that we've been in the last couple of years, is this swirling energy of kind of chaotic powers that sometimes are really confusing, sometimes are really scary, but they're also super generative, and they're part of nature, the natural cycles.
Right. We know that through destruction comes creativity, and newness is born.
Exactly.
And something else about if when you go inside the book, and if you were to read what Lisa Sokolow had written, she's a jazz singer, and she spoke about the voice. And I think that's actually, I'm going to look that up too, to share that, because I think that gives a lot of information also about that card. Let me find it. Do you have them? Oh yeah, okay. So she wrote, and that's why it's so, I don't know, about the women sharing this, learning from each other and them sharing. Lisa wrote, Webachek, which is the goddess, this hurricane goddess, is force, pure force, not malevolent, not beneficent. Oh, how do you say that? Beneficent. Say it.
Beneficent.
Thank you. Just pure elemental force. When you sing like Webachek, it's like sitting at the center of your power, letting the elemental force of breath move through you. So it's also about, when you pull that card, I think it's also a message to you about using your voice, your platform here, your podcast, your, getting your message of the goddess out there, and which is what you're doing. So even though there may be chaos creating that, I think there's a message about, yes, I'm on my path and I have to use my voice, stand in that power and use my breath to get the word out, which I think you do.
Well, I'm very inspired by women like you who have really shown me, have taught me through what you do, how to not only, speak my truth about the goddess creatively or, with my words, but do it in a way that empowers other women. Like, I'm so grateful to the women who have come before me, who are teaching me that and continue to teach me that in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet. I love the birds. The birds.
Yeah, the birds. I just turned my fan off, so it's quite hot. So I'm going to probably start to sweat. I thought maybe that was you couldn't hear me as well, but I may have to turn it back on.
That's okay. You can turn it back on. I can.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
We want you to stay cool and comfortable as much
yes.
as possible.
Well, Annalisa, look at the right on that book, not in the book, in the box, the message that's right in the pink. Yeah.
Right here. Okay. Oops. We are all here to lift, hold, and be present for one another as we travel on our journeys.
Which I think is what you were just saying.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. 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 Absolutely. So much of the time, especially in Western culture right now, back to the heroism piece, there's so much of this ideological emphasis on individualism and I am my own island, and but we forget that we're all here together, co-creating and in these interconnected communities, and we need each other. And I really sometimes feel there's this loss of intergenerational kind of coming together and wisdom that, I don't know, especially in communities of women right now. I find that it's really hard for younger women and, generations of women older than them to connect, or for the younger women to receive the wisdom of their elders.
I'll disagree.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
And I disagree because of my own experience through the goddess world, having been involved in it for 20 years now, and seeing at these retreats that I go to, both, to attend and to photograph, the women, the young girls who I've seen grow up through that, I've seen them as like 8-year-olds, 7-year-olds, which, I'll share something about that too, but they are so present with that. And definitely, I feel there is great relationships, intergenerational relationships. So maybe not at the world at large, but in our beautiful goddess world, there is that being fostered, and the young women coming up through that are just inspiring to me. I'm so inspired by them. And actually that is something that's also interesting about the Oracle deck in my book, that with the goddess book, let me show it here, right here.
Yes.
There were several young girls that I photographed. They were 8, 10, 12 at the time. And I photographed them again 10, 14 years later to see how they have, where are they at now as an embodiment of the goddess? Did they choose a different goddess that was completely different? Did they grow into what they had wished they were as an 8-year-old? It's fascinating. And so there are about 6 young women who are in the Oracle deck,
yeah,
that are in the goddess book, and it's incredible to see follow these young women. Yeah.
And did they change goddesses?
Yeah, some of them did, and some of them chose the same. Yeah, definitely. Most of them changed goddesses because it's very fluid. Who are you at any moment anyway? Yeah. But it is fascinating. One in particular, Maya Carl, who wrote about Artemis when she was I think 12, saying, I wish I had her strength. I wish I had her power. I wish I could stand in my power like that. And so she was maybe a timid Artemis. And now she's Artemis in the deck. You should show her. Now she's in the Earth section, so it'd be a green card. That will help you.
Okay. I'm looking. Uh-huh. So, oh, it's taking a minute. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
Is passion into action, right?
Yes. Artemis. There's no longer a question of if she is embodying her passion and her standing in her power, which there was as a 12-year-old.
Yes. And I, just as you were saying that, I looked behind you at that amazing portrait. I think it's of a Reshkigal, or is it Inanna in the underworld?
Inanna, yeah. And she was another one, another young woman that I photographed. That's her as a 27-year-old. See if I can find her in the book as. Okay, so Minosan. She was 14 at the time. This is yeah.
Yes.
Very contemplative. Minosan is really history.
Yeah.
Recording history. And to go from this contemplative, sitting quietly on a tree, listening, right, to Inanna in the back, is quite a journey.
But I want to say too, because I'm writing about Inanna in my dissertation, this whole descent into the underworld is really about a deep intuitive listening. Because in the opening of that poem, it says, from the great above, she turned her ear to the great below. And ear is the same word for wisdom in Sumerian. So there's really about, and that for them, wisdom, they believed, was something that was received from the inner intuition, from the gods, from something bigger, bigger than whatever's happening out here. You know what I mean? It's like deep, deep, deep. So to me, I feel like that might be the maturation of that deep, deep kind of listening and, intuitive listening. Yeah.
With the wisdom of your sisters.
Yes.
I love it.
I love that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks for letting me rap poetic about Inanna. I love her too. Is that card in the deck as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Another fire card.
Well, let me just look at the time really quickly. Okay, so I think we have, a few more minutes. I think we could go a few more minutes. I had, there were two other things that I was interested in having you maybe touch on. And they're both probably bigger conversations, but I want to at least bring it up, and maybe this is a combo for another time. And one is that you introduced me to this concept of sacred activism, which I really believe that this is an expression of sacred activism too, as the way I've heard you describe it. Would you be willing to kind of discuss sacred activism at all?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know that I've used that word since when we were at that conference together. But I think it's activism, but coming from a deeply spiritual place. That it's not. It's using your spirituality for action. To do good in the world, to take, the goodness that you're and your own wholeness out into the world to make it a better place.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's coming from, a heartfelt place rather than a head using it to make action.
Right. It's like that. It's like spirit and embodiment. It's all those pieces together.
Yeah.
Oh, Lisa, you froze.
I froze? Look at that.
I know, we were having this issue before we went live too.
Because we went somewhere so deep.
That's right.
I'm trying to, there we go.
The technology can't handle it. And the last thing I wanted to bring up before we go, and whatever you feel like you want to say about this, is after we worked together, you started on a journey of photographing women of the Lenape tribe. And that was such a moving experience, just kind of me being out on the periphery, listening to your journey. And I think some of those portraits made it into this deck as well, correct? Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, do you have anything to share about that experience that you feel comfortable sharing?
There's a beautiful overlap in the goddess world with the indigenous world. There's similarities. So there's overlap, and I think the most profound. I'll share something. The most profound thing for me during that time was it was about a 2-year period, maybe a 1-year period that I was doing the portraits, and during that time, my parents passed away. And I, in my mind, I think of that period in my own personal life with that project. And I have to say that the women were so supportive and so loving during that period, but also I deeply, in a deeper way, how we all stand on our ancestors, that they're with us, and how much gratitude I have. Because in America, or here, I don't know, we think, oh, we just birthed out of nowhere, we became these self-sufficient individuals. No, we came from our parents, our grandparents. We stand on their shoulders. We carry them with us. We have their DNA in us, and I learned that deeply, and I thank the women of the Lenape Nation for teaching me that. Really, and I really felt it. I really got it in my bones.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, Lisa, before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to share that didn't come up in our conversation today about anything related to Goddess on Earth?
Whoever it speaks to, I hope you'll go and look for more information on the website, goddessonearth.com. And I hope you'll, if it speaks to you, you'll want your own, your own copy.
Yeah. Yes, please, everyone, go out and purchase one. Buy one for some of the women in your life, or men too, whoever. I mean, anyone that loves goddesses. And share with Lisa, share with me if you want. What's for you?
Yes, I wanted to say that I love just seeing it being used, and it's so meaningful to me to see how it affects people. When you pull a Gueva-check card and how that speaks to you in your life at this moment. Oh, I love everybody to share those, that connection.
Had an overhead plane. I wanted to cut that noise out for a second. Yeah, I agree. It's really fun to watch how, what people are taking away from it. So I encourage everyone to go check out your website. Again, goddessonearth.com. Keep sharing, keep posting. And I guess that's it. I just, again, want to share with you my gratitude for you and what you've created. And we're just going to keep sharing it with the world.
Thank you, Annalisa. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that you did with it too, with your portrait, and for all the work, making sure I was really correct in my myths, that I was telling the story correctly. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, my dear friend. Well, everybody, thank you for coming to this YouTube Live, or if you're viewing later, thank you for viewing. If you liked what you saw, please like this video, please share, please comment. Go on to Lisa's, she has an IG account, a Facebook account, in addition to her website. I don't know if you have any other socials where people can find and follow you.
That's enough.
Those are the main ones. Yeah, so you can follow her there. She's always posting on IG, and I think on Facebook too. And like Journey to the Goddess, sign up for my newsletter if you want to kind of keep up to date with the people I'm interviewing and the things going on in the goddess world. So thank you, everybody. And thanks again, Lisa.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Ciao.